Hello everyone, welcome to this special lecture. Today you and we both are going to decide on the best study plan that is possible for your SBI PO 2022 mains, which is slated to happen in another 1 month or so, right? So the broad agenda of today, as I have written out down here, is that I'll help you to plan your hours, your days and your weeks leading up to SBI PO 2022 mains. My idea behind this session came from your request. After my previous session and after the session of Abhishek sir, live session of Abhishek sir, a lot of you requested that sir, why don't you give us a proper study plan so that if we follow it, we would ensure that all the things that need to be done for mains preparation, we do them and we do not miss anything, right? And then I thought, obviously this is a very valid question in your mind because there is so much misinformation in around, especially in the online world, that you may feel that this is more important or that is more important, how much time I should give to quant, how much time I should give to reasoning, how much time I should give to practice and how much time I should give to concept revision. All of these questions are bound to come in your mind. And 1 month to the exam, the last 1 month, very important from the perspective that it shapes our ability to score in that exam, isn't it? Right. So that 1 month cannot be wasted just because I do not have the right guidance of what to study, how much to study and when to study, right? So this is something that is very, very important. I realized for you guys at this stage, because time is of essence. Time is the most important resource in your hand at this stage. So if you miss time, if you lose time because you don't know exactly what to do, that is not right. Okay, that hampers your chances in the mains exam, and we don't want that to happen, right? We want that we perform our best in that mains exam. So our study plan should be equipped enough to prepare ourselves to the extent that based on the concepts that we have learned for the past few months, we are able to perform our best out there, right? And that's what we would do today. So we'll do that through 2-3 things. First, I am going to tell you the 3 important tasks that you need to do for mains. And these 3 are the only important tasks that you need to do for mains, nothing else, right? One of the reasons why we are so confused, especially for mains preparation, is that we have so much to do, we basically do not know what to do and what to leave, right? And a maths teacher would talk about doing a lot of maths, and a reasoning teacher would talk about doing a lot of reasoning, and English teacher would talk about doing a lot of English. But a proper organized way in which we can get benefit of all the subjects, that seemed to be missing when I interacted with you guys, with some of you guys at a personal level. I realized that guidance is somewhere missing. So what I'm going to do is that if I have a lot of things to do, it is bound that I'm going to miss something. And that's nature, man. I mean, you cannot do everything, right? And you have only 24 hours. You will have to understand that very clearly. And I cannot imagine that the 24 hours that I have, I would be giving to my studies. Right. So if we assume that 24 hours we would be giving to studies, that would be a stupidity, right? So within the bounds of practicality, we will have to design our study plan. And for that, I'll have to limit the number of tasks that I need to do. Obviously, there will be subtasks inside them. So rather than having a lot of tasks all lying around, I have compiled all of them into 3 major tasks. I'll share that with you. And I am also going to share with you how much time you need to invest in each one of them, right? Day wise. Also, I'm also going to share with you the most usual mistakes students do while they are preparing or while they are doing these tasks. First of all, they do not do these tasks keeping in mind that these are only the 3 tasks that need to be done. They do these tasks, some part of these tasks, by keeping in mind that they would have to do a lot of stuff. Okay, so you will understand that when I show you these tasks. So obviously, there are a lot of times that they end up doing mistakes in those tasks, and then they feel guilty about it, and that in turn results in loss of momentum in their preparation. So it happens a lot of times that 5-7 days the kid is preparing with all his guts, and then one day he misses some of the things and then end up feeling guilty about it, and then he goes on to a downward spiral. That happens in preparation, isn't it? Right. So how do we avoid those stuff? We will talk about that. And finally, I'll tell you bonus time management tip, because some of you would have less time, some of you would have more time at your disposal. Obviously, we are not going to engage ourselves for 24 hours. That would be impractical, right? But those who have 12 hours at their disposal, they should give every minute of those 10-12 hours to prepare themselves in the best way. Those who do not have that 10-12 hours and has lesser time at their disposal, how can they manage their preparation so that they do not lose much, is something that we would also talk about, right? Okay, in this bonus time management tip. So let's start with the first task number 1, and that is revision and practice. I've already written the total time per day that you need to give to it, right? Now I'll explain what are the activities that you need to do in your task 1. So I told you that there are 3 tasks, 3 most important tasks, only important tasks. Beyond these 3, you do not need to do anything else, right? So the first task amongst them is revision and practice. Now, what should you do inside it? See, when I talk about revision and practice, I am talking about quantitative aptitude or DI, data interpretation, English and reasoning. These 3 sections, right? We'll come to general awareness and descriptive in our next slide. But in this slide, we are going to talk about these 3, and these 3 would maximum take you daily 6 hours of revision and practice or 4 hours of revision of practice, depending upon which mode you take. I'll talk about these 2 modes, right? The first mode is that you do all 3 sections a day, right? And you invest 1.5 to 2 hours to each one of these sections. What should you do in these 1.5 to 2 hours? I'm coming to that. But first understand there are 2 modes. One is that you do all the 3 subjects, that is Quant DI also, reasoning also, and English also, 2 to 2 hours each, maximum 6 hours, right? Or you do 2 subjects a day, right? This is more preferable to me. I prefer this to be the most preferable, because this saves a little bit of time and it ensures that everything is done also. So in that case, what would happen is that you'll have to repeat the topics or the subjects. For example, that Monday you do Quant and reasoning, Tuesday you do English and reasoning, Wednesday you do Quant and English, then Thursday again Quant and reasoning, and so on and so forth for 6 days a week. This happens. So this is for revision and practice. Now, what to do in that? I mean, this was how much time you should give, right? Okay, 1.5 to 2 hours. So that maximum time that you would give is 6 hours, minimum 3.5 to 4 hours is what you should give. Now, what you should do, that would depend upon at what level you are, right? Let's say, for example, just give an example, those who are our students in our previous batches, they are already done with their course. Even those who have been preparing for 7-8 months from our YouTube, they are done with their concepts and everything. So they are in that category where all concepts are done. Okay. So what should you guys do? You should revise your weak areas from notes and lectures, some parts of the lectures, not every lecture fully, but some parts of the lecture, and practice through sectional and sectional tests and unused mocks. Now, which are the unused mocks? Now, you see, you are at the end of the season. So I'm sure that in every test series you had taken at least 10-12 types of exams mocks package, right? They come in package, so you would have anyways got that even if you had not wanted, right? So out of these 10-12 exams, you might have given 5-6 exams, and there also you mustn't have used all the mocks. Na? There would be many mocks that have been unused. So use those mocks as sectional tests, right? Meaning what? Meaning you take 30 questions, let's say. Normally for 30 questions of quant in your actual paper, you would get 40-45 minutes on an average. So 30 questions, you give yourself 40-45 minutes time. Try and do them in the first attempt. Out of those 30 questions, how many you are able to do, see them. Obviously, take the tier 2 or mains level kind of mocks and make sectional test out of it. So you go through those 30 questions, try. Let's say you are able to do only 10 questions. Okay, you are able to do only 10 questions in the 45 minutes of slotted time. After that, you score yourself and you saw that 8 are correct and 2 are wrong. So you are left still with 20 questions and 2 wrong questions, right? 20 questions which you could not attempt. You went through them, but you could not attempt at that point of time because you did not understand what exactly you needed to do in there. Or maybe you thought that this would be more time consuming. The other questions that you did were less time consuming, and therefore you chose those questions, right? Now, next part of the better part of the 45 minutes, next 45 minutes or 50 minutes, you should try and do these 22 questions. Okay, right? So, and after every question, if you are able to do it by yourself in 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, if it's a DI set of 5 questions, 10 minutes, right, 8 to 10 minutes, if you are able to do in your second attempt, that means that you would be able to do that question conceptually. If you are not able to do it in the second attempt also, that means that conceptually you are lacking something which is not helping you to solve that particular question, right? So you go through the solution. You can go through the solution of the ones that you have got correct also, right? So the next 50 minutes or so would be to go through the solution. So basically you have 3 slots of 50-50 minutes. 50 minutes for 40-45 minutes. 40-45 minutes for taking the exam or taking the sectional test, 40-45 minutes of retaking it, and another 45-50 minutes for going through the solution and understanding it. Okay. So this is the way you should take your sectional test. Now, if you take 20 questions in place of 30 questions, then the amount of time should be decreased proportionally. Okay, why I am saying 20 questions? Because you will have to punch in your time of revision inside this also. Obviously, when you practice, you revise, no doubt about it. But I would prefer if you have your own notes, okay, right, and you go through those notes, some part of that notes every day, 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, some part of the notes. For the full notes you cannot go through in 20 minutes, na? Some part of the notes 15 to 20 minutes, and then take the sectional test. Over a period of 7 to 10 days, I am sure that you will be done with all of your part of the notes, and obviously you would be have taken 7 to 8 sectional test also by then. Okay, so these two together, what they would do, they would ensure that you are revising also and you are practicing also. Achha, if you do not have your notes, okay, then what would you do? Then obviously your notes would be best, but then also what you can do is that if you have made some brief notes while you have gone through the lectures, they would also serve as a summary for revision, or those parts of the lecture that you have already watched, those lectures that you have already watched, and you know that these are the areas where the concept has been discussed, watch only those parts of the lecture. Now is not the time to watch the full lectures of concepts, you know, that we had done at the start of the course, or the basics lectures. If we talk about YouTube, the basics lectures, now is not the time to go through all those lectures. You do not have that much time, na? Right? So only that part where the concept has been discussed. Best is your own notes, and next would be if not your whole notes, but your summary notes. If that is also not there, then concept lectures, only that part where the concept has been discussed. Okay. Revision is not just to excite your graces and sort of remember what you had done already. Okay, now, so this is for those students whose concepts are done. Okay, then And this would go on for quant DI also this, for English also this, for reasoning also this. But there would be people for whom some concepts are remaining, right? For example, those students who have joined late, who have joined in the last batch, or those who have started preparation in the 2 months back, right? For them, there would be some concepts that are still remaining because they had not got time to go through all the concepts, right? Okay. So what they should do is they should complete concepts in the next 2 weeks, in the upcoming 2 weeks. They should target to do the concepts that are remaining, in the next 2 weeks. Take up a concept, go through the lecture, understand it, do some practice, and done. So every concept lecture, not practice lecture, concept lecture should take you 2 to 3 hours. So one lecture, one concept, 2 to 3 hours, done. So for the next 2 weeks, if you have not been able to prepare even 20-30%, then obviously you should realize that you will not be able to complete everything, right? But if you are at 60-70%, then you will be able to complete within the next 2 weeks or so. And the oral practice for you would happen through mocks and sectional tests, okay, right? Obviously you will not get that time to build on the sectional test as those people who have done their concepts, but this is the best way for you. I told you, I will customize my my advice so that whoever is in whichever position, it cannot be a generic advice for everybody. I see on YouTube a lot of people come and give generic advice that ye kar lo, wo kar lo, ho jayega. But it really does not work that way. Why? Because everyone is at a different stage. Obviously, when you are 30 days to the exam, there are some things that need to be done without fail, right? No one can say that I am not that much prepared, therefore I will not do this. So there would be some things like that, but some things can be tweaked a little to give us more benefit in the process. Okay, so next 2 weeks should be building concepts. But 4 to 6 hours, not more than that. For them, 6 hours is what it should be. They should not target 4 hours because that would not be possible for them to do a lot of stuff in that 4 hours, because at least 2 subject concept building stage takes a little more time. So 2.5-3 hours maybe, right? So these are the 2 things that should be done for revision and practice. Now let's come to the mistake that people do. The first mistake that people do in this area is they sit with one subject or topic for full day and waste their time, right? They take 20 puzzles, they try on and on and on for those 20 puzzles, and suddenly they realize that the day is gone, right? See, when you start your preparation, maybe 7 months, 6 months to the exam, doing this may make some sense. It does not make any sense to waste one day for 20 questions anyways, but still I can understand. But at this stage, it is suicide, my dear friend. Here I told you, time is the biggest resource for you. How can you waste it, right? So don't sit with one subject or topic full day. That is why, you see, by design I have kept that per day you would do at least 2 subjects revision or practice, okay? Right. Now, you might be thinking that, sir, those who have some concepts remaining, they are not able to revise because they would be giving 6 hours to building concepts. Yes, I told you, they would be revising at a slightly later stage. Okay. Plus, they would be taking mocks. I will be coming to the mock wala part, and in that slide I will tell you. They would be taking mocks and revising through there also, through the analysis of those mocks. Okay. Now, the second mistake that people do here is, at this stage, they start solving CAT questions, right? Especially in SBI PO, this happens, I have seen, because we have seen for the past few years, SBI is getting inspired by the methodology of CAT, the types of questions in CAT, in all aspects, in DI, in logical reasoning, in English, okay. So, students know this. I mean, everyone knows this, that SBI PO is nowadays a lot inspired from the way CAT gives questions, okay. But knowing this is one thing, but what to do after having this knowledge is a different thing altogether, right? Knowing this when you have 7 months to the exam, 6 months to the exam, and organizing your preparation in such a way that you are preparing to the level of CAT so that you are able to do these questions with ease, or at least identify these questions and know what to do with them. This particular capability would take some time to build, and this over a period of 6-7 months, understandable, right? If at that point of time you take CAT questions or CAT type questions and do them, understandable, right? But at this point, it is not understandable. At this point, don't go ahead and pick up previous year CAT papers or CAT mocks and start solving them. Please do not do that. This is another mistake that SBI PO aspirants end up making. Now you tell me, sir, but we know that there are orientation of CAT questions in SBI PO. So if we don't do that, how would we be prepared for it? I'm not saying you to not do them, but don't do them from CAT papers or CAT previous year papers or CAT mocks. You can still do them. How would you do them and still be oriented towards those kind of questions? Obviously your mocks. What do you think, my dear friends? These mocks are generated keeping in mind the way the paper is moving ahead, right? When they create mocks and they get take suggestion from teachers like us, we also tell them to get inspired from there and create their mocks. So your mocks already have that. Okay, all good mocks already have that inbuilt. Secondly, you see, the pattern of CAT and pattern of SBI PO is different. The overall pattern of the paper. Yes, the questions are getting inspired from that, but the pattern is different. At this stage, I would not want you to practice in any other different pattern rather than the exam that you are taking, because that would confuse you a lot. Okay. And if you have, and understand this thing, if you have been sincerely following us, if you have been following our advice, then your CAT level practice has already happened, right? If you are our courses student or you are following us on YouTube, what advice do we give? Let me know. If you are following us on YouTube, what advice do I give? I'll take one example, a small example, and you would see. I tell you always that reading comprehension and critical reasoning are two sides of the same coin. You'll have to do one to understand the other and vice versa. So you'll have to understand critical reasoning to be adept at reading comprehension, right? I tell you that. What is this methodology? This methodology is not something that is employed by most of the people who prepare for banks. Why? Because in banks, CR comes in reasoning and RC comes in English, so they separate it. But they are not separate. You know that, you who have learnt under me know that how internally linked they are, and being good at CR, how can it improve your scores of RC? So when you have prepared on the basis of my advice, on my pattern, you have already done that, because we have integrated, whether it is in RCCR, whether it is in logical reasoning, puzzles, we have integrated that methodology. You see why SBI PO is getting motivated by questions types of CAT. The reason being is that where everything said and done in India, out of the aptitude exams, CAT and other allied MBA entrance exams are the best designed exams, right? So SBI PO, which is one of the most coveted exam in the banking field, also wants to replicate that, so that it also becomes one of the best designed exams. Okay, right? So if you have listened to us and prepared the way we had asked you to do, then this has already happened. If you have not, then at this time only mocks can give you that experience. Don't waste your time by going back to CAT questions and papers. Okay, right? So that was task number 1. Now task number 2, general awareness and descriptive. Okay, this would take you 2 to 3 hours, right? 2 to 3 hours of time. Now what would you do in these 2 to 3 hours? Let me give them to you one by one. First, 1 to 2.5 hours a day, depending upon at what level your GA preparation is, you should be giving to general awareness, right? So 1 hour to that person who had been regular all through, at this stage is only revising from his notes and taking some quizzes, right? 2.5 hours a day for that person who had not prepared for the year through. He is just preparing at this moment for the last 15 days or so, and he will have to prepare, he will have to go through the summary notes, he will have to go through the tests also, right? So therefore he will need more time, right? So first of all, how do I revise general awareness or know about general awareness? At this point, you should only revise from summary notes or summary PDFs, right? If the notes have been made by yourself, then that's the best, right? Preferably, but do not go back to those day-wise, week-wise videos for the full year, or day-wise, week-wise compendium for the full year and start reading from January. Don't do that, right? Don't do that. And understand this very, very clearly. There is a difference. Having summary notes of 12 months, having summary notes of, or month-wise, at least month-wise, January full month summary, if you have in your hand, February full month summary, you can use that. But day-wise, January 1, January 2, January 3, there were news, and trying to understand those news at this stage is sheer waste of time. There are two reasons for it. A, that should have been done from January only, not at this stage, okay? So that was best done at that point of time, then you would have needed only 1 hour at this stage. Secondly, at this stage a lot of things might have changed, okay? So doing them day wise would require a lot of time, plus a lot of time of that would be misinvested, okay, right? So these are the two reasons why you should not do it. Summary PDFs are very welcome, summary lectures are very welcome, quizzes are very welcome, compendium quizzes are very welcome, right? Do them from them. Now, second, attend quizzes as tests, as I told you. Again, here also unused mocks would help you a lot, okay? You can take quizzes from your unused mocks, and plus specific quizzes that you have access to. Those can also be used, definitely. Month-wise quizzes can help in that, right? Next, so this GA, how much time would it take? It would take around 1 to 2.5 hours depending upon person to person. So a person who does not need to revise, is just going through every day's news from starting and every day's concepts and making his own notes. He would take only quizzes and tests and revise from his summary notes. So that would take hardly 1.5 hours. But a person who would have to study those things would take at least 1.5 to 2 hours to study them, and another half hours to give a quiz and test and check it out. Okay, right. Next, descriptive, 30 minutes to 1 hour at the max, not more than that, but every day you need to give it. Every day you need to write. Take topics and write without looking at the background of that topic. Now this is very important, please understand this, that a lot of times what happens when I give a list of topics, okay, people do what? First they look through the internet, go through the internet, understand what the topic is all about, and then they start writing on it, right? And they have a good feeling that I have written very well. But that's not the right way to do it. Treat it just as you would treat a mock. You revise for your mocks, but do you revise the same questions that has come in the mock and then go and sit in the mock? No, na? Right? Because if you do that, you would not get the actual idea about where you stand, isn't it? The same thing happens with descriptive also. So let's say the descriptive topic is about, let's say, drug abuse in India, or how to control drug abuse in India. This is the topic, okay. So if it is given at this point to you, you would have to write with whatever data you have in your mind. You cannot replicate more data at this point, right? Okay, at this point. So writing now and writing after reading through all drug related cases and then writing would be two different essays, right? What I am asking you to do is the first one. Does that mean that you would not read anything? No, you are already reading so much in general awareness. Also, in the list of topics that you have in descriptive, in those topics, what you can do is that you can read in generally on those topics, but do not write on something that on which you have read just the other day. Okay, For example, let's say drug abuse you have read on Monday and you are writing on that on Friday. It's okay. It's okay. Right. But you read on Monday and writing on Tuesday, that's not okay. Okay. Right. Then let's say, for example, any international summit on climate, So you read about it that day and you are writing on that day, that's not okay. You read about it and you wrote it 2 days after 2 days, that's okay. Okay. So this is how you should plan your descriptive writing. Okay. Right. Now, mistakes that you should avoid here. First of all, my dear friends, this is related to all the sections, all the 5 sections, DI, reasoning, English, GA and descriptive. Don't divide your time of studies according to the weightage or the level of preparation that you are in that particular subject. Okay, right. But why should I mention it specifically for general awareness? The reason is very simple. In general awareness, you have so much to do that your preparation would always seem to you less than what is required. Right. Even if you do a lot, you would not feel satisfied with the preparation of general awareness. Am I saying right or not? Okay. So if that is the case, then because I am at a level which does not satisfy me and I give in more and more and more time to general awareness, is that any sane man should do or sane woman should do? No, right? So basically you will have to give it time to the extent that it gives you more benefit. After one point, it would not give you more benefit. It would result in fatigue. It would result in losses to you. Right. Obviously, these 3 hours that I have given for general awareness or 2.5 hours that I have given for general awareness, you can extend it for another 1 hour or so if time permits. If you have time and you are able to do all the other things that I have said, all the other 2 tasks completely what I have said, then you can give another 1 hour or so to general awareness. But beyond that, no. Right. Okay. So that is one thing. Second, avoid FOMO at all cost. Now, what is FOMO? Fear of missing out. I have done this in general awareness, but what if I get something outside this? What if I get something outside this? You see, from the experience of the last 2-3 years, you must have realized that general awareness is not like the general awareness that it used to be 3 years back, where you could get an almost a full score or an 80% score in general awareness. Is it like that? No, in all exams. In IBPS PO it has also changed, in SBI PO it has also changed. It is more an application. And that is an opportunity for us. That is an opportunity. How? Because everyone in your competition would be not be able to score a full marks or a 90% in there. Right. So most of them would not be good at all of them. All of the topics that has come in general awareness. They might be good at 1 or 2 areas or 3 areas at the max, and they would score a 20 or a 15 maybe at the max, right? Even if you are good at 2-3 areas and you score a 10-12, that would be a more than enough score in a kind of exam that we have been getting for the past 2 years. So why should you have fear of missing out? Because you know that everyone would miss out something or the other, right? Okay, so don't have fear of missing out. Clear? Okay. Next is task number 3, the last task, and that is mocks and their analysis. And this would take 3 to 4 hours the day you do it. Meaning, the day you take mock, you would have to give 3 to 4 hours. The day you do the analysis of the mock, you will have to give another 3 to 4 hours. Okay, let's see how. First, how you should plan your mocks. If you have time and if you are prepared, right, enough, and you're doing task 1 and 2, as I have told you, in revision practice as well as in GA descriptive, then you should take every alternate day 1 mock. Okay, and 3 to 4 hours. For that 3.5 hours of mock, though you will say it and you will take the whole mock. So it will take around 3.5 hours or so. So 1 mock every alternate day. What should you do the other alternate day? Other alternate day you would analyze the previous day's mock, and that would take 3 to 4 hours again. How? You know how I suggest you to do mock analysis. You need to rescore yourself. After you have got the score of the mock, you would take all the questions that you have not attempted or you have done them wrongly, and then try them again and go through the solution and see how much you could have scored in that paper, your capability score, right? To know about them in detail, go through our mock analysis lectures, you will understand them. The link of those lectures would be in the description, right? So thorough analysis, that's thorough analysis, and that is needed to be done for all mocks that you take, right? And please understand this very clearly. If you don't intend to analyze a mock, you should not take a mock. This is another mistake that students do. They take mocks but they don't analyze them, right? There is no benefit whatsoever would accrue to you if you don't analyze those mocks, right? Okay. And second, everyone knows that this year SBI has changed the pattern a little. The number of questions in reasoning and DI has come down a little, and the number of questions in GA has increased. Okay, the timings have also come down a little, and likewise it has gone up in GA. So the English remains largely unchanged, nothing has changed in there. So in these pattern change, a lot of people I'm seeing are thinking a lot in that, right? But if you look at this pattern change in a unbiased way, you would realize that this pattern change is very less climactic to you. Climactic, you understand, this affects you to a much lesser extent. Why? Because you have one section, you have sectional time limit. In that sectional time limit, whatever you are able to do, you will do, na? Right? So the core of whatever studies, strategies that we have discussed remains the same. That if in a stipulated time, whatever I can do, I should be doing in that paper. There should not be any question that I could have done and I left in the paper, right? That is the motto. And also there should not be questions that I shouldn't have done and I have done in the paper, right? Okay, so these are the only two things that matter, and that remains the same in this pattern also. So don't overthink in these pattern related issues, because this would automatically be taken care of when you take mocks. You will take mocks on whatever the new pattern is, and when you take 10 mocks on new pattern, you would automatically become comfortable with it. Okay, right? Okay, so these are the two things that you need to take care in task number 3. Clear? Okay, now the last thing, and that is bonus tip, time management tip. Now, if you look at the time that I had given to all of you in this, the maximum time and the minimum time, let's look at it. If you do all the 3 tasks, which is preferable, every day if you are able to do all the 3 tasks, task number 3, it is either or, right, alternate day. So, either mock or analysis. So, if you do all the 3 tasks, then minimum you take 9 hours, maximum you take 12 hours. How? Because if you are taking 2 subjects, revision and practice, then 4 hours for revision and practice, and 3.5 or 3 hours for mock, 7 hours, and another 2 hours for G and descriptive. So 9 to 10 hours at the max for minimum, and maximum 12 to 13 hours, right? Okay, this is what if you do all the 3. Why 12 hours for maximum? Because 2 hours for another section in revision and practice would be added. Second, if you need to choose, right, you don't have that much time. You don't have 8, 9 hours, 10 hours. Maybe you are working, right? If you have to choose, what should you do? For people having 6 to 7 hours a day, then what should you do? First 2 weeks, task 1 and 2 should get priority. Okay, first 2 weeks, right? You have 4 weeks. First 2 weeks, last 2 weeks. 4 weeks from now till SBI PO, on an average. So first 2 weeks, task 1 and 2 should get priority. Reduce task 3 to a weekly affair, right? 1 mock a week and analysis, full analysis. 1 mock a week and full analysis for the next 2 weeks, right? Then, because you have less time, this is for only those who have less time. Those who have time to spare should not follow the second point, right? Those who are working or do not have time more than 6 hours, 7 hours a day, they should do this. Okay, next. Last 2 weeks, task 2 and 3 should go on. That means GA descriptive goes on as usual, and mock analysis and mocks and analysis takes priority. Reduce task 1 to 1 section a day, to 2 hours a day. task 1, revision and practice to 1 section a day. Okay, right? So this is what you should do if you have 6 to 7 hours a day. Having said all of this, but still we are human beings. In your childhood you must have learned that to err is human. We are bound to do some mistakes, and one of the mistakes that can happen, not because our intention is wrong, but because maybe the environment is not right that day, is that we might miss 1 or 2 days. You made a schedule, you are following it for 5 days, on the 6th day it did not happen. Right? Just leave it at that only. Don't let your guilt that 6th day it did not happen to waste further time of yours. On the next day, just start it as a new day, your new schedule, your new day schedule, and that's it. That one day, leave it, right? But what people do, what students do, I know you do not do it with wrong intention. You have all the good intention about yourself in your heart. But what happens is that you think that you have committed a crime by missing that one day, by losing that one day, and you start thinking about that. You waste your next day. And this way, there comes a time when you then leave everything and sit back and say, ab to mere se nahi hoga. This is not going to happen. Right? That should not happen at any cost. Right? If 1 day or 2 days in these 28 days, 30 days, you miss, be at it. I mean, let it go, right? It would not matter much. But if you start crying over spilt milk, that would matter much. Okay? Right? So that was all. That was all that I had in my mind, which I wanted to share with you. Right? This is so simple. I have made everything in an ordered way. I have given to you in a plate. You just now need to make your schedule, study plan it on these guidelines, because I cannot give you what time of the day you should study, because that is your choice. Okay, but how much to study, in what area, how much to give, I have given all the guidelines. Plan your schedule according to these guidelines and follow your plan. Enjoy the preparation. Every day when you do it, even if you do 80% of what you have planned, feel happy about it. Okay, and even if you can do that, you would see no one can stop you. No one can stop you from you giving your best. Right? From you giving your best, no one can stop you, and that's what is wanted. No one can tell you what would lead you to crack this exam. That's a competition. What you need to ensure is, on the day of the exam, you give your best. Right? If you give your best, and that best, content-wise, your concepts-wise, your preparation-wise, that best is enough to beat the competition, then you would be through. Right? And you would get the idea. Okay? Right? So that would be all for today. Thank you very much. Hope this session would help you in a way to plan your studies better. And 1 month from now, you would see the benefits of this if you follow it sincerely. So thanks a lot and all the best.